Jay, that's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
The crowd up. So are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dave Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the only football podcast tonight. Myles Garrett has hit the Cleveland Browns with a "I need a trade, bro." Cooper Kupp has been told that he will be traded in the near future. Kyle and I are going to go over those two great players on the verge of being traded. Today is also our Groundhog Day episode, so we're going to relive some moments during the preseason and get to talk shit about each other, about who got what right, who got what wrong. It's always going to be an exciting time. And of course, we're going to end it off with the Chives with Kyle. Let's get it. America is football is America.
Football is America. And if you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass. This is a moment in time. I don't give a damn. Oh my God.
No.
You love this.
30 to 27.
Oh!
Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Only Football Podcast. The only football podcast. I'm Kyle, and that's Rick.
I think that's Kyle.
And it is Super Bowl week, which means the NFL media teams are all in New Orleans, and the vibe is here. The energy is upon us. Everybody is feeling the buzz of the most watched televised sporting event to take place in our country coming up here in just 6 days. It's exciting. And it's already a historical day, but then there's the opportunity for three-peat and history on top of history. But we're going to start with some local stuff. And when I say local, I mean a non-Super Bowl contending team, which may be the reason that Myles Garrett has requested a trade.
Yep.
Now, words speak volume. And when I look at this trade, there's a sentence in Myles Garrett's statement that I would highlight and start a discussion. So I will. I'm going to read the whole thing, and then I'm going to tell you what stood out to me. He said, as a kid dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl, and that goal fuels me today more than ever. A statement that Garrett read. These past 8 years have shaped me into the man I am today. While I've loved calling Cleveland my home, my desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It has always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I have requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns now. The sentence that stands out to me is the goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton.
Yep.
He is saying a lot in that sentence, but what stands out to me is that he has made it clear from his perspective that staying in Cleveland equals not winning a Super Bowl. And there are some people that think, oh man, you got to be that player that makes the difference. You don't want to be the player that, joins the Kevin Durant to the Golden State Warriors. They will always put an asterisk next to your Super Bowl. But if you can be one of the players that creates a real culture shift within an organization like Giannis did for the Milwaukee Bucks, and taking that team to the NBA Finals and winning the finals, that is what the gold standard is when fans talk about players. But I can't think of a player that could be any more impactful than Myles Garrett has been the last 8 years for Cleveland. So it is also true that it's a team sport. And that's why when people talk about Mahomes as the greatest ever, which I think he is, I still like to keep the perspective that winning a Super Bowl and going to a Super Bowl is a team accomplishment. There is no better there's no better example than the fact that Josh Allen hasn't been to a Super Bowl and Mahomes is trying to win his third in a row. It is not because Mahomes is that much better than Josh Allen. It is because the organization and the 52-man roster and the coaching staff and a lot of external factors that are outside of one man's control. And I feel like this is where Myles Garrett finds himself. He's saying, I've won all the personal awards. I've been Defensive Player of the Year. I've been the best defensive player in the NFL, arguably for 7-8 years in a row. I believe he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's been the guy that he was drafted to be, yet Cleveland isn't going to win a Super Bowl because of Myles Garrett. And I don't think he believes that there is a path to the Super Bowl through Cleveland, and therefore his personal goal of winning a Super Bowl cannot happen as long as he's wearing the orange and brown and he requests a trade. What do you make of this? This is obviously huge news for Cleveland, Browns fans everywhere. Whenever you get a player as impactful as a Myles Garrett, a Von Miller, you always imagine that player is going to be with you till the end. And there is the case with Von Miller that he was like, no, I want to be here when we get back to the playoffs, and I want to be a part of that change. And the Broncos moved him. This is a little different where you have Myles Garrett moving himself. What do you make of this?
So my initial thought, and I don't know if maybe you had the same or maybe other people out there also had the same, but when I read this, I was like, oh shit. But I wasn't like, wow, oh my God, this is the craziest news since Luka got traded to the Lakers, which is also insane. I wasn't shocked because Myles Garrett makes a very, very good point. The Browns let go of a damn good quarterback in Baker, and they leveraged their entire future on Deshaun Watson. And that has not paid off. So Myles Garrett is looking out for himself, man. I mean, this is an obvious, like, okay, if you can do what you did to Baker Mayfield and bring in Deshaun Watson, then there should be zero surprise that I'm wanting to make this step. I'm wanting to be traded and putting out a statement where it clearly says the ultimate goal was not to go from Cleveland to Canton. Those words right there, like you had mentioned, you're like, these are the ones I want to highlight. Those are strong words. He said it himself. The ultimate goal is to play in a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. I can't do it here because of what this GM, what this front office has done with Deshaun Watson. He just can't. You're right. This is a team game.
Rick.
So it's got to be a team win, and he can't do it in Cleveland.
They say never, I was told this in relationships, but never speak in totality. You don't want to use words like always and never. You never do this. You always do this. When Myles Garrett says the goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton, he's implying that he never thought that Cleveland would win a Super Bowl from the moment he was drafted till now. Are you surprised about that?
So you could look at it in a couple ways. The way I look at it is it was never supposed to be a linear path from Cleveland to Canton. It was always supposed to have the stops of the Super Bowl on the way. So I know what way you're looking at it, but the way I read that and understood it was not a Joe Thomas career that he wanted. Joe Thomas was one of the best linemen in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns. I think maybe had a playoff game, one playoff game, I think. And that was Joe Thomas. He was an all-pro. He was a Pro Bowler. So I think Myles Garrett, in this sense, did not want to have a Joe Thomas type of career. Shout out Richard and shout out Nick in the chat and Daniel Barry right now. But that's how I read it. But I can see how you are coming up with what you said. And I think Cleveland Browns fans are looking at it the same way you're looking at it.
Yeah, and that's not, I mean, for me, like when I read that, it was, there are times where, people will try to twist words to try to fit a narrative, whether you want to be angry or happy. When I read that, naturally, that's just, now he could have just been speaking and it wasn't as serious as it sounds. A lot of times tone, body language, all this stuff is missing when you read it just in words. Now, moving on to the ultimate value of Myles Garrett, who was drafted a number 1 overall pick. And I think, what was it, just a couple weeks ago that there was an offer including 2 first-round picks, and Andrew Barry, the general manager, said that would not be enough to entertain the thought of a trade.
Yep.
That, to me, is surprising. I feel that 2 first-round picks is actually more than enough to move a guy like Myles Garrett, because Myles Garrett, as great as he is, all right, he's 29. He's going to be 30 next year. You just don't move 2 first-round picks for a defensive player that's 30, unless, I mean, Myles Garrett, he's close to the exception, but usually there's only one position we would even entertain this, and it's quarterback.
Yep.
I'm a little shocked that they wouldn't entertain it, because you got the cap and all the money that plays along with it. So do you feel like he's just bluffing, or do you feel like 2 first-round picks is enough to pick up the phone and have a conversation?
Oh, two first-rounders is like you said, very generous. It is very generous. Myles Garrett, for all we know, probably has 5, 6, 7 years. He can also have a career-ending injury or something that nags him for the remainder of his career. But I think a first rounder, maybe a second rounder, couple of fifths, throw in a player instead of all those other picks. I think something can be worked with a first round pick, with 1 first rounder. I agree with you. And so does Richard. You're spot on in saying that 2 first rounders is generous. I absolutely agree. And the fact that the GM was like, we're not going to entertain that. I think he's kind of, building that value for Myles Garrett. And like you said, he's 30. He's been a defensive player of the year. He's been an all-pro, second team, whatever. He's got a ton of accolades. I think 2 firsts definitely gets the phone answered. But I think at the end of the day, you settle on 1 first if you can.
Yeah, 2 years remain on his contract. He had a $125 million extension, which I think is proven to be a worthwhile investment on the team's part. But the GM, I think he's going to have to be a little more open and willing to work with other teams if he's actually going to move him. And, if he did mean never the way that I interpreted it, maybe it's because his rookie year was the year the Browns went 0-16, and that was just like,
Jesus, you're right.
Oh, okay, like this is where I'm at. And then, I mean, they've only made the playoffs twice. And it wasn't until Stefanski was hired and they made the divisional round. But since that was in 2020. Since that, they've only made the playoffs one other time, and it was last year. And they lost to the Texans, and it wasn't a close game. It was a blowout.
Badly.
And also, it was like Joe Flacco. It was almost kind of like I don't want to say a fluke, but it was not the franchise quarterback leading his team to
It was a fluke.
a good enough record to it's not repeatable. They didn't even keep Flacco on the roster, and you're looking at next year, and they restructured Deshaun Watson's contract, so the Browns are going with Deshaun Watson. And I just feel like Myles Garrett is like, dude, every single year I go to the Super Bowl, I go to these events, and I get to see all these teams preparing, and it's like, I want to be that team.
Yep.
I want to be why do they get it and I don't? I'm one of the best players in the league. There's no reason that I should just settle for this. I'm about to turn 30. At any point, I could have a season-ending injury. Something could happen to me. I don't know how many more years I can play at an elite level. And maybe he believes I'm still at an elite level enough where I could take a team that's a contender to the Super Bowl. If I join the Ravens, if I join the Lions, if I join the 49ers, if I join the Eagles, the Packers, maybe, there's a lot of teams that are in a better position than the Browns right now. So I think Myles Garrett is just saying, hey, the clock is ticking, and I don't want to be known as one of these guys that, I was loyal to my fan base, but at the cost of what was really important to me. I need to do this for me because it's important to me.
He's going to go to the Falcons, and then I'm going to pick the Falcons to win the NFC South.
There's no way he's going to the Falcons.
They need a pass rusher. No. I look, if I was a Browns fan, would I be mad about this? I'd be upset. But as someone who's on the outside of this franchise, being like, you guys brought this upon yourselves, man. You guys welcomed Deshaun Watson and all the baggage he carried in with him. So if you guys want to be mad at Myles Garrett for requesting a trade, look at what this same organization did to Baker Mayfield, the guy who took you to the playoffs for the first time in fucking forever, and who is now in Tampa having an awesome second half of his career. So for Myles Garrett to do this and for fans to be mad, go ahead, be mad. You guys do whatever you need to do. But for the fans who were like welcoming Deshaun Watson and all the baggage and making fun about it, hey, this is what happens to you guys. This is the karma that comes back around. And I'm not wishing any ill will towards the fans. I'm just saying you guys get it in a football dose. You guys get this karma in a football sense where you have an awesome coach, 2-time coach of the year. You have a really good defense, and you had a good quarterback in Baker. But none of these three things could come together at once to make you guys a contender because of the moves that are made, man. So Myles Garrett, again, I wasn't shocked. He knows he's also coming up on his 30 years. He knows he's not going to be playing at the high level he's playing at forever. He wants to win a Super Bowl, man. Good for him. He should go to a team that's ready.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole reason they moved off of Baker is a 30-minute conversation in itself, which still is not clear for a lot of reasons. But you're right about players getting to an age where they're like, time is really ticking, and I really want to win a ring, or in some cases win another one. Sometimes it's the players, sometimes it's the management. It's not always the same. In this next one, the Rams looking to trade wide receiver Cooper Kupp. This is a move that has more to do with the front office than it does Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's definitely on the trade block. The source is Cooper Kupp himself. The Rams have informed him that they're seeking a trade immediately, and Cooper Kupp announced it at 6:26 around then Central Time. This is what he said. I was informed that the team will be seeking a trade immediately and will be working with me and my family to find the right place to continue competing for championships. That's a good thing. Hey, we're not going to send you to some shitty team. We're going to do right by you. We just got to do right by us too. And the Rams probably feel, with the emergence of Puka Nacua and the age of Cooper Kupp, that now is a good time. It sucks, but the business side of football, the teams that really know what they're doing, they know when to sell the stock. And this is a stock that is a very good this is a very good opportunity for a win-win trade. It could be a win for the Rams, and it could be a win for wherever he goes. Kupp wrote on X, I don't agree with the decision and always believed it was going to begin and end in LA. So this is also what he said. Still, if there's one thing that I have learned over the years, there are so many things that are out of your control, but it's how you respond to these things that you will look back on and remember. I have taken so much pride in playing alongside my teammates in the LA community. So thank you for embracing my family and making this such a special place for us. I think while it's a little bit jarring that the Rams are looking to move on from somebody that's really been an icon, somebody that's won the Triple Crown only 2 years ago. I mean, it's not like this is forever ago, but it's also not completely shocking. I mean, he's definitely been leaped as far as production by Puka Nacua on the depth chart. And when you consider the contract and his age, I think there was already, from at least Bronco fans, because we've been talking about this in the group chat for months, about being able to land Cooper Kupp. And it was already kind of leaked out that the Rams would be moving off of him. So I'm not sure if Cooper Kupp just thought that was all smoke and mirrors, but a lot of people were assuming that this kind of deal would happen. What do you think about this? Do you find it shocking at all?
Not really, and the reason why is because of the chatter that pretty much went on during, the last couple games of the season after they got knocked out of the playoffs. This was something that I felt like was brewing for a while, and reason is because I think the front office kind of, leaked it a little bit, was talking about, hey, kind of throwing out some feelers there, like, what about Kupp? What can we get for Cooper Kupp, And, Cooper Kupp in that message on X said, I had always thought, my career would begin and end in LA. I know, Nick, you're saying Kupp to the Broncos. You were saying that in the group chats on X, on Instagram, whatever it is that you have with other Broncos fans, they're also kind of looking at that. I mean, what about the Chargers? The Chargers could possibly use someone like that. It's not necessarily a veteran presence for Justin Herbert, but for maybe McConkey, Quentin Johnson, all these other guys, have another person outside of McConkey who can actually catch the ball and become productive. If he wants his career to begin and end in LA, Chargers are the way to go here. Right?
Same stadium. And I mean, the reality is everybody's going to pick up the phone and call. That's the reality.
Yep.
He's one of those guys that you're not a good GM if you don't call. So I think just based on the amount of interest, I think it's really hard to try to speculate where he's going to end up, because there might just be a team that is willing to give just a little bit more than another team, and the Rams can say, well, we didn't send you to a shithole, I mean, when you think about it, you could probably come up with 20 teams that you could argue they could get it done. You could do the Rams, or I'm sorry, you could do
Chargers.
the Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs. You could do the Texans. You could do the Cowboys with Dak coming back.
Yeah.
You can do the Packers, the Lions, the Bears, the Vikings.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not that many teams that you look at and it's like, oh, they did him dirty. How many teams would we say that about? Maybe the Browns right now,
The Saints.
for sure. The Saints,
Raiders.
the Raiders, and like we're in the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like kind of it. I mean, I think the Commanders might be a hot spot too.
Ooh, yeah.
There's just so that's why it's impossible in my opinion. It's just there's just so many teams. The Rams are gonna just probably end up going with whoever's gonna pay the most. I think it's going to be less about Cooper Kupp's desires and more about what the Rams can get for him.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. And these trades, the desire is something to happen immediately. This isn't like, oh, we're going to kick the can to free agency. Like these are deals that they want done tomorrow. So it'll be exciting to see. This isn't the first time he's been on the trading block. The Rams confirmed that they received calls on him leading up to the trade deadline last year. And there was a separate report that suggested it was actually the Rams front office that was looking to sell. And the team ended up hanging on to him for the rest of the season because they couldn't find a team that was willing to meet their asking price, which was reportedly compensation that exceeded what the Raiders received for Devontae Adams, which was a conditional third-round pick. So the Rams are looking for a second-round pick for Cooper Kupp. Do you think that's reasonable, a second-round pick? Would you give up a second-round pick for Cooper Kupp? It's kind of maybe not, right?
Maybe a second rounder next year. That's probably not what the Rams are looking for, but I would maybe do a fourth this year and maybe a second round next year.
I feel like
maybe
second's kind of high with all of the injuries he went through this year and the age. I think I would rather have my second round pick to draft a wide receiver.
Yeah, 100%. How old is he?
I would think like 31, 32.
Yeah, he's 31, going to be 32 in June. So and this is kind of, I hate to say this because like age is huge in the NFL. 32 years old on a new team, depending on the team, depending on the quarterback, depending on how well developed this offense is, it could be difficult. So I get you. If they're asking for a second this year, no thanks. I will take a wide receiver in the second round. That'll probably be one, a lot cheaper, two, a lot more years on this guy, at least 4 for the rookie contract if we don't want to, do that fifth. So I agree. A second this year, I don't know. Maybe a fourth, maybe a third or a fourth.
Yeah, I mean, and if the Bengals, I'd give a second round pick for T. Higgins. Shit, I'd give a first round pick for T. Higgins, to be totally honest. And on top of that, it wouldn't, if the Bengals can't keep T. Higgins because of financial reasons, maybe that is the trade. T. Higgins for Cooper Kupp, and the Bengals receive compensation on top of it.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe that's the way to go. I mean, could you imagine T. Higgins and Puka Nacua with Stafford? I mean, that would be pretty awesome. But I think the Rams right now are looking to draft maybe a wide receiver and not pay a ton of money. Because if they were, then wouldn't they just hang on to Cooper Kupp in the first place? But that's the other thing that could happen. I mean, Chris Godwin, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, these are all players that have been dealing with injuries or coming off injuries, but they're veterans and they're looking for a new spot. I would throw Cooper Kupp into this group. So there is a good amount of free agent, like talented wide receivers. And that might make it a little more competitive than if he was available last year. Because there's just so many more options this year. So I don't think the Rams are getting a second. I think the best they're going to get is a third and maybe like a fifth next year, something like that. And then there'll be a conditional pick maybe where like if Cooper Kupp has 1,000-yard season, the fourth becomes a third next year, something like that.
Yeah, I can see that. And, kind of going back, I'm like, yeah, maybe 2 picks is a little too much, even though they are this year and next year. I think it's 1 pick and it becomes a conditional one. I think it's like, here's a fourth, conditional to be a third. If, like you said, goes over 1,000 yards, becomes an all-pro, does this, does that, plays 90% of the game, something like that. So I definitely agree with that. He's a little bit on the older side. Can he still be consistent? Sure. But you, as a team, you need to have an actual number 1 wide receiver and just have kind of Cooper Kupp there as your number 2, maybe your number 3 slot guy, something like that.
Imagine before the Super Bowl kicks off, we know that Cooper Kupp's going to be a Chief next year.
Oh, they need it. They need it right now. They need Cooper Kupp right now. And Cooper's like, yeah, fuck it. I'll go to Kansas City. Why not?
Well, that would be a wild prediction. I think a lot of people would probably predict the Chiefs to four-peat if that thing happened. And predictions are wild in the offseason. And sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're way off. And we know going into our 3rd season here, we had a lot of things to say this offseason. And today's a day that we're going to go back and we're going to look at some of those things that were said.
Groundhogs Day, baby. Groundhogs Day. I forget how we came up with this, but it was like reliving the past, right? Just reliving things we said about this season. Either way, it's a good time. So did you want to start or did you want me to start?
I'm going to start with the low-hanging fruit. Okay. I sent myself the video, but it didn't get downloaded, so we'll just discuss it. All right. The low-hanging fruit, and the thumbnail's hilarious. The low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels is going to be the best quarterback in the 2024 draft. I think it aged
terrible. Worst take ever.
Was it a bad one?
Oh yeah, it was the worst one. It was easily the worst one. I think that's why Kyle picked it as low-hanging fruit, because he's like, all right, let's just get this shitty one out the way.
Bad one out of the way. We all know I can't evaluate quarterback.
No, it was a good one. It was good. Definitely this year. Definitely in terms of rookie seasons, best rookie season out of the class for sure.
Yeah, he had a really good rookie season, and there was a lot of talented quarterbacks coming out. And it was almost hard because you had Caleb Williams, but I had my reservations about Eberflus, and those were in fact a problem. And the floor that we even set for these quarterbacks, Eberflus found a way to lower the floor.
Shane Waldron's my guy, though. Shane Waldron's my guy.
Yeah, that one was kind of rough. But I think overall, when we evaluated these quarterbacks, we said this is going to be the best quarterback class. I know I said this ever, and I know you still have faith. Caleb Williams, franchise quarterback. Jaden Daniels, franchise quarterback. Bo Nix, he's a franchise quarterback. So 3 of the 6 are already franchise quarterbacks. JJ McCarthy hasn't played yet. Drake May, I think, is going to be a franchise quarterback.
Same.
So that would be 4 of the 6, leaving only one quarterback. And that one looked like a franchise quarterback in Michael Penix. When he played with the Falcons, they looked better immediately. When you watch him play, his processing, he just looks like he belongs. He looked like the game wasn't too fast for him. He was able to go into his progressions and go back to, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, get rid of the ball to the check down. Like, he understands how to play the position. So
Yep.
I really think we're looking at 5 franchise quarterbacks right now, and J.J. McCarthy's the only oddball. But if this is the case, this is already the greatest quarterback class ever.
I mean, you're looking at like an 85% success rate in terms of first round quarterbacks taken, right? So, yeah, no, and you were right. Like, because we had both said that this is probably going to be the best quarterback class of any draft ever, comparably, right? And it has a lot of potential to be that way. Jane Daniels made it to the NFC Championship. Bo Nix took the Broncos to the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Caleb Williams, above, with all the shit that he had going on in that organization, still managed to have 20 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions, almost 3,600 yards, over 4,000 total yards, was able to get the Bears in a winning position. Other than all the bullshit that he had to go through, he's still able to do that. We talked about Drake May finally becoming the starter kind of midway through the season. Penix looking good in those couple starts and those couple games that he played. And like you said, J.J. McCarthy, the only one that is TBD right now. And that's depending on what the Vikings do in the offseason. So definitely good one with Jaden Daniels. Now, I'm going to do one. I'm going to give you credit on one first. Let's see if I can do a present here. Share screen and do that. Here we go. Let's start it here. I think it starts right around here. Hold on. Damn it. Hold on.
This prediction is actually true.
Yeah.
Sideline first, Wilson or Watson. I'm going to say Wilson.
That right there. Perfect. You said it. Wilson. And who was sidelined first? It was Wilson. So credit to you on that one, because you're like, you said Wilson and you had zero hesitation. You're like, Wilson. Next question. So I wanted to start off with that one because it was like, when I saw that clip, I was like, holy fuck, he called it. He just like that. Wilson, easy. Next question.
So what? I missed the beginning. What was the question?
Yeah, so I had fucked up. Here, hold on. Let me, all right, here we go. I'm going to go back a little bit. All right, right here.
Sideline first, Wilson or Watson?
So the question was crafty. Said, who ends up sidelined first, Wilson or Deshaun Watson?
Oh, okay. I'm going to say Wilson. Yeah.
I'm going to say Wilson. Zero hesitation. That's the reason I picked that. That's the reason I picked that. We got crafty in the chat. I've got 2 Kyles on my screen because it was so, you said that with such conviction. And who didn't start the season? Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson did not start the season. So you were 100% correct. And yeah, even Crafty's like, I got a shout out there. Exactly, Crafty. You're going to get another one this week too. So be prepared.
It's crazy. I don't even remember that.
And that's the other reason I picked it, because it was such a low key one. It was something that you probably were like, yeah, Wilson, didn't even think about. And I was like, this is a good one. I'm going to bring this one up.
I have one here of you.
Let's go.
And let's see if I can get to, here we go. Okay. Here we go. I think this is it. Share screen.
Here, I'll do this real quick. Oh, I can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
No.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me just do this.
Here, press play. See if it.
I got it.
I think your sound went out. Because you heard mine, right? Yeah, I can't hear you.
Yeah,
Kyle.
the problem was I have to open YouTube in the same window.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, Crafty, sort of time travel. It's our Groundhogs Day. Yeah. Let's see what Kyle's got cooked up here.
Okay, this isn't it, but I said the Steelers are gonna sneak one on the Ravens, and they did sneak one on the Ravens, but that's not it. I was asking. I think I'm asking you here.
It's not playing. At least on my screen, it's not.
Oh, it's playing on mine. That's weird. How about now?
No, still not. Did you want me to look it up, maybe?
Let me see if I close. Oh, okay. Okay, I see what happened. Screen. AFC North deep dive. Here we go.
You know what I mean? So, and that is divisional record. Everybody.
They can sneak one. They're all in this stretch. Okay, and it's a home game against the Ravens at 12 o'clock. Those are always really tough games for the Ravens. They swept the Ravens last year. They can sneak one.
And if you are, pissed off at this prediction by Kyle, let both of us remind you, the Steelers had the best divisional record last year at 5-1. They had the best divisional record. Everybody else was 3 wins or less. So, and that is with arguably worse quarterback play. Arguably. You don't know where they're at. Arguably worse quarterback play. So just putting that out there. You know what I mean? So just putting that out there.
So I got Bengals, Ravens, Browns, Steelers. Rick has Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. And that is our Rick
count
has
it.
The AFC North 100% smashed.
If only it had gone in the actual way I said it, because I think I had Bengals second, Browns third, and Steelers last. So
I think hold on, Browns, Steelers. Rick has Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. Oh, okay. You did put the Steelers last. We both put the Steelers last.
Yeah. We were just like, this is going to be a circus, what's happening in Pittsburgh. We both had been like, circus. They're going to suck. They are going to suck the life out of Pittsburgh. And we were somewhat right. They had 10 wins and they lost like 6 in a row.
And they took both of our quarterbacks, and we're like, that's not going to work.
We're like, no.
And arguably, it's like, I mean, it kind of worked, but I mean, the ultimate goal is not to do what they did. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Now I'm going to do one that's going to embarrass Kyle in a sense. Here we go.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Humiliation.
From the same video. All right. I think, okay.
Oh,
it's
no.
In 10 seconds.
The same. Okay. Mahomes didn't know he was Mahomes. That's why he dropped to number 10 overall. Caleb Williams has a rocket for an arm, but I personally wouldn't be surprised if he's a locker room cancer.
If he's a locker room cancer, incorrect. LOL, Kyle. Bad take.
Well, technically, I didn't say he would be. I said I wouldn't be surprised if he is.
You wouldn't be surprised if he was, and he is not. If
But
anything,
I didn't say that I would be surprised if he wasn't.
So I wanted to get that one out there
Boo.
because I was like, I have to dissect this video by Kyle titled Caleb Williams a bust. Just because I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna put Kyle's feet to the fire. I love it, and it's funny too, because I also had the AFC North on here as well. Me being right about the Ravens winning it all, and there was a point in time there where we were talking about the Bengals, and you had said something about like, dude, it's fucking Joe Burrow. We were talking about how good he was going to be, and we're like, the defense is decent. And then they just shit the bed. Like, we had half of it, right? Joe Burrow was going to have a fucking career year, which he did. And then we were just like, yeah, the defense is decent. And then it just shit the fucking bed.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing was like, during the offseason, you had to have an opinion on Caleb Williams.
And that one. Yep.
It was like that was probably the hottest talking point of the offseason. Would you say?
I would say leading up to the draft, yes, because there was so much smoke coming from other people. Caleb Williams doesn't want to go to the Bears. Caleb Williams wants to share of the team that he gets drafted to. Caleb Williams wants this. Caleb Williams doesn't want that. He paints his nails. He cries at games. There was so much shit being talked, and I get it. It's a rookie that's supposed to go number 1 overall. I get it, but just like Crafty said, Rick has been counting down the days on that one.
All right, I'm gonna embarrass myself here.
Let's do it.
We tried to address it. It didn't go very well. Joe Burrow got hurt. You could go down the list, and it's not a coincidence that the teams that are playing late into the season generally have a pretty good offensive line. So when you talk about Baltimore adding Derrick Henry, right, a veteran running back who could only benefit from a good offensive line, okay, how effective is he going to be? I mean, you're talking about a guy that's going from 5 yards a carry to 3 yards a carry if you have a bad offensive line. If you can get that initial hole, Derrick Henry can pick up some speed, and that guy is a train when he gets rolling. So I gotta say, for the Baltimore Ravens, they need to still figure out. I get it, great team, great roster, reigning MVP. It's not going to matter if they don't figure out a better plan at offensive line. The Buffalo Bills.
They kept the same guys.
The offensive line that they didn't. They had a totally revamped O-line. I actually brought somebody in, a Ravens fan, and did an interview with him, and that was his biggest concern. And he probably, if I had to guess, I probably did that interview very close before that, because he did scare me a little bit. But he had a lot of faith, but it was like everything I was reading online prepping for that interview was like, yeah, there's like 4 guys that have very little experience. One guy's like supposed to be good, but he got a season-ending injury. This guy's never played before. This guy, it was like, we're just throwing this together, and it was an issue, but they got better as the season went on. So I think that's something I just wasn't. I couldn't have predicted how well those guys would have come together.
So were you saying, because I didn't really find that one too embarrassing for you, were you kind of just saying like, unless the Ravens figure this out, Derrick Henry won't have a good season? Is that where you were kind of the gist of it, or?
Yeah, I was saying
Okay.
Derrick Henry's. I was like, it's not going to be that great if they don't figure out what to do with their offensive line, and they kept it exactly the same, and Derrick Henry went off. So
Gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. So, all right, this next one for me, it's gonna be. I feel like I'm just shitting on Kyle today, but it is fun to do. So let's start this one. We're doing AFC West State of the Union. Madden players are probably better than Josh McDaniels. Let's be honest, right? So it's like, what's that?
you said the top of the world Madden people.
Oh wait,
I said
whoops.
that's me.
Hold on.
Talking about
Here we go.
seems pretty realistic for me right now.
Okay.
I think the Chargers are going to end up winning the division this year.
Whoa! Shit! What? What? There's no way you're serious right now.
It kills me to say it,
Wow.
but I think the Chargers are going to, because we saw what the Chiefs looked like last year.
Kyle said the Chargers are going to win the division, and in that same video, or maybe it was another one, you had said the Chargers are no longer chargering. That was also incorrect. They chargered the fuck out of themselves in that divisional round.
I disagree. The reason I disagree still is because the Chargers got rid of everybody. And they were like, we're just going to do it with a good O-line. Lad McConkey's our only real weapon. And look how well they did. I mean, they got themselves, into the 5 seed. And I didn't think when they got to the playoffs, like, oh, this is a team that's going to go on a Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
But I think with the roster that they had, if they still had Staley there, or Brandon Staley, I think that was a 5-win team. And the fact that the Chargers were not only winning double-digit games, but also embarrassing teams like the Patriots and other teams, like, I think it went about as good as it could have gone this year for the Chargers.
The only reason I say that they actually chargered in that playoff game is because what was the feeling going into that game? Chargers are going to smoke them. Chargers are going to go into the divisional round. They're going to get out of this wild card. And then they get the doors blown off of them. So for me, that's a chargering thing. And that, again, that's just me. And I'm like, okay, that's why I picked the Texans. The Texans have been here. The defense is legit. And the defense showed that they were legit. Didn't intercepting Herbert as many times. So I thought I'd just bring that one up. But I thought that one was funny because even at that point, I was like, holy shit, Kyle's calling the goddamn Chargers to win the division. I loved it.
I think this is great timing.
Let's do it.
Right here with everything that we were just talking about with Myles Garrett. This is you talking about Deshaun Watson. Eagles week 1. That's going to be a really tough game.
The Eagles,
that'll be and then they get the really next quarterback is
and that's what I said. Like before the draft, I was like, I think this is going to be one of the most successful quarterback classes of all time. And I mean, we Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy, all first-round guys. And if they all start this season and they have continued success, like you said, like it's awesome to kind of just be not only part of the draft where that happened, but to see them for the next 8 or so and be good. You know what I mean?
Cousins hasn't been cleared for week 1. You know, Kirk Cousins hasn't been cleared for week 1. So Michael Penix could,
I mean, so people are thinking
11,
he'll be ready,
12,
but if he's
48.
not,
Here we go.
The Browns, look, the Browns second place last season. They have a great defense. Have we seen that Browns team with Deshaun Watson and been like, yep, this can be a division winner? I don't think we have. There's been games where Deshaun Watson is played like Deshaun Watson of old with the Texans, and we were like, okay, this is the Deshaun Watson they need. This is the Deshaun Watson that they guaranteed however many millions of dollars to him and gave up their, what was it, a few first round picks or something like that.
yeah.
For him. We haven't seen that yet. We've seen single games, right? And the Steelers, they've got a quarterback question. It's Wilson. Is it
That is
Justin
good.
Fields?
Wait, what was that? What do you mean? What was that one?
Sorry, I was trying to get. I think I clicked the wrong part, but there was
Oh.
a part where you were hammering the Browns about how they don't know yet what they're going to get with Deshaun Watson, and you're like, there's been moments,
Yeah.
but do you have confidence in this? Do you have faith in it? You're like, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. And then, I mean, this year, this is Groundhog Day. If you go back in time, this was supposed to be Deshaun Watson's big year.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, he got the rust out,
Yep.
and now he's going to hit the ground running. And that was the expectation. And everybody was kind of high on them. And you were like, we haven't seen anything really yet. So we need it. And you were totally right.
Yeah.
So I thought I had it at the right part, but it was probably coming up, but I thought I heard you say all right, so I cut it off.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, because I was like, there's no way I said Deshaun Watson was gonna have a breakout year this year or something. All right, let's go to
he
one.
might win MVP this year.
It's gonna be 2019 Deshaun. He's going to the playoffs. All right, let's do one because this one is really like I love this one because we were so high on the AFC South. We were making cases for everyone. And then at the end of it, we called it right.
It's time to make a decision. For me, this isn't that hard.
Let's go 4, 3, 2, 1 at the same time.
4, 3, 2, 1. Texans.
Texans are winning the division.
And this was one, if you guys were here for that AFC South dive, me and Kyle were like, dude, fucking the Titans offensive line's gonna be sick. They got L'Jarius Sneed on the defense, the Texans, the Colts, we were making these crazy, like, I don't want to say crazy, but we were actually bringing guys. We were like, this division could be a good one. And then it was just like the Titans shit the bed. The Colts were mediocre all year. The Jags sucked. And then it was like the Texans were like, I guess we'll win the division. But we called it. We
did. I got a funny one.
All right, let's do it.
This is a good one.
It was good.
109.34. 109.
Oh,
Here we
God.
go. All right. I like the different camera angles and all of mine. You can tell I'm still trying to figure it out. Okay.
Oh, okay. Which one was this one?
Be a Jet. Aaron Rodgers came out and said, look, I hope he sticks around because it's
$1 million on.
yeah, because he's still getting fined, and I agree with you. I think he's going to be a Jet. Aaron Rodgers came out and said, look, I hope he sticks around because it's going to be a fun ride. You know, talking about the Jets this season. So Aaron Rodgers is back. You know, they got the defense. Does Hassan Reddick necessarily make them so much better that they're automatic Super Bowl contenders? I think there's the defense of the Jets are still good without him. But adding Hassan Reddick there on the edge,
definitely makes you a really, really good defense. That addition is gonna make that defense even more powerful than it already is. But yeah, I'm gonna go with he stays a Jet. I'm gonna go with he stays a Jet. So yeah. Just
And
want to
then
answer that one real quick.
Nick Chubb and Buda Baker will also be available next year.
Ooh.
So Nick Chubb, I mean, he had a devastating knee injury, but we'll see what he looks like when he comes back. I mean, he's been a top 3 running back the last 7-8 years. I mean, he's been just amazing. So that was a really bad, injury. So we'll see if that was career ending or not. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Yeah, because like you said, he has been a staple in backfield. I mean, specifically, obviously for the Browns, but just in general, like Chubb is going every single year early in fantasy draft. So he's just been extremely good at running back.
Okay, the part here I wanted to bring up, I was thinking we were going to go back into it, but you said Hassan Reddick makes the Jets a great defense.
Never suited up once. Not one time.
You're like, are they good without him? Yeah, but with him, they're going to be a great defense. And oh my God,
when he puts on that green uniform, dude, it's fucking over for the AFCs. And not once did he fucking suit up. That was so good.
Oh my God, and just like spare me of all of the Jets banter this offseason, because it's I had them number 1 in my power rankings at one point.
Yeah, I think you had them winning the East. And I was like, I originally did have them winning the East, but I was like, I still got to stick with the Bills and Josh Allen or whatever. But all right, the last one for me, I don't have a video of this, but everybody knows. Everybody knows this one. I thought this was the low-hanging fruit you were going to go with at the very beginning, but this is low-hanging fruit for me. This fruit is on the ground. This fruit is rotten. It's already molded over. And that is the Atlanta Falcons winning the NFC South because of Kirk Cousins. My annual tradition of just calling the NFC South for the second year in a row, I was wrong. First year, I was like, Derek Carr to the Saints. This looks fucking good, man. They're going to win the division. Next year, oh, man, Kirk Cousins to the Falcons. That they were a quarterback away, bro. They're winning the division. I wonder what's going to happen this offseason to where I create my yearly NFC South prediction. I am excited for it. I can't wait to call the NFC South in July again. It's going to be great.
I was hoping you'd do it tonight.
It depends if Myles Garrett gets traded to the Falcons. I'll call the Falcons again.
All right. I got some low hanging fruit for me here.
Let's do it. I was thinking too, because I just going through all these videos, I feel like during the off season, we've got to make a Groundhog Day video where we're putting all the takes out there. That way it's just like one video and we just have to go back to that'd be good. Yeah.
Now this one. All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
15 minutes. Got it. Why they want to put out the fire? They're annoyed by it. Like Denver's fucking cheap. Like, be annoyed by us. We haven't been in the playoffs in 10 years. Like, we're the team that's bothering you. Like, I don't get it at all. But I especially don't get how they're saying that because he's not playing starters that it's not impressive. I'm sorry. That's not true. Because if you are playing a second string, third string practice squad, it doesn't matter. if Bo Nix is supposed to be a starting caliber quarterback, he should look similar to what we would expect Jordan Love or Patrick Mahomes to look like against a practice squad. Okay. If Patrick Mahomes went out against the second string, third strings and dominated, we would be like, of course he did. He's Mahomes. He's playing second stringer. So when Bo does it, why does it not matter anymore? Let's just look at what he did yesterday. So he completed 8 of 9 passes, 80 yards, another touchdown pass, and another 140.7 passer rating. Through the preseason up to this point now, he's gone 23 for 30, 205 passing yards, 2 touchdown passes, 0 picks, 29 rushing yards, and on pace for a 40-point game. He scored on every possession he's ever gone out with the Broncos besides a Lucas Kroll fumble on first down. This guy has scored 30 points now on his possessions that he's come out for. And it hasn't all been pretty. There's been holding penalties on first down, and it was 1st and 20. That used to be a death sentence for Russell Wilson. You can never get behind the sticks. He can't make it up. You have to stay with 3-yard gains, right? And just hope for a 3rd and short. But Bo Nix showed that he can make an 18-yard pass downfield on 3rd and 19, that he can scramble for 10 yards to make up for the holding penalty. His timing, the decision-making, the amount of time that it takes him from the snap to know exactly where he wants to go with the football and then position the football in a great position for the receiver to make a play. Like, those things matter, and they do translate to the starting players. Sure, the rushes might be faster, the coverage might be tighter, but the decision-making is the same. You're in cover 2, I'm going here. You're in cover 3, we're going there. You're blitzing, we're doing this. Like, this is what we're actually evaluating. We're not evaluating if he's going to look this good against the starters. We're just wondering if he belongs in the NFL. And so far, from what we've seen from Bo Nix, is not only does he look like he belongs in the NFL, but he looks like a total steal at the 6th quarterback taken. So either this is going to be, like I said, the best quarterback draft class ever when it's all said and done, or Bo Nix is going to be a steal. But one thing that I think is for sure is that Bo Nix is not going to be a bust. I do think that he's going to work because I've watched enough football to know when somebody looks different.
Kyle's watched enough fucking football for you peasants at home to say Bo Nix is a bust. Oh, that's got to feel good. That's got to feel good.
It does. And it was one of those things where I was watching him in the preseason and I was like, the confidence was just at an all-time high because the way he looked in the preseason was like, it was like that scene in Tenacious D when they're jamming out, when the homeless guy, Kyle Glass, is jamming out and Jack Black's like, everyone's just walking by ignoring him and he's like, don't you guys recognize talent? How do you guys not see this?
Because you're just walking by this shit.
He's like, dude, I will do anything for you. Train me your ways. And he's just like, dude, I'm just like a bum. But it was like his belief in him is what made him a rock star. It's what unlocked him. And I felt like that was not necessarily exactly what happened, but just like the fact that nobody else seemed to be like standing up on their chair like, holy crap, look at this dude. And I was like, and even more than that, it was like, oh yeah, but it's preseason. And I was just like, oh okay, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out. And like,
yeah, they did.
It took a long time. It really did. Like, it was like, I think that Cleveland game against the Browns was like when it was like, all right, Bo's not a second round pick. And that's where we started. Like, it was a reach to draft him in the first round.
I was going to say, there was a lot of people talking after that game. They're like, Bo Nix looks good. He looks like he's not a rookie. He looks like he could be a damn good quarterback in the league. And I agree. It was that Cleveland game. It was after that Cleveland game where that conversation like started to happen and really started to be like, all right, Broncos got a guy. They got
Which
their
is
guy.
weird because like 2 weeks before that, they beat Atlanta like 38-3, and it was like
Yeah.
it,
It was
it
the
was,
running game, though. Wasn't it the running game, or was that the Saints game?
that was the Saints game, and that was week 5.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
the Falcons game was like week 9, if
Mhm.
somewhere around there. So it was just like there was a lot of those moments that were happening throughout the season, but it is exciting to be
Yeah.
like, okay, next year, like there is not going to be a learning curve and his learning curve really was only 2 weeks. Like it was like the Seattle game and the Steelers game that I went to, and then it was like we went on the road and beat Tampa, and it was like Bo figured it out, but those are tough defenses for week 1 and week 2 with defensive coaches, and I just knew I never had that type of conviction. Like there's been times where I felt like I had that type of conviction. It's like when you are like, yeah, I've been in love before, and then you're actually in love, and you're like, I guess I thought I was in love,
Yeah.
but
There you go.
I didn't know that there was a new depth to the love. And with Bo Nix, it was like that. Like I felt like Drew Lock. I felt like I had conviction with him, but then when I saw Bo play in the preseason, I was like, I've never felt this way about Drew Lock, and that was one that I was so sure was going to work out. I was telling you, I was like, I put like $200 on the 5.5 win total because I'm like, there's absolutely no way that we win 5 games this year. That's just not on the table for us. And I could have gone back and even reevaluated those because that was a wild prediction by the NFL that we were going to be the number 1 overall draft pick in 2025, that this was going to be us at number 1 overall, potentially looking at a quarterback. I just can't believe how wrong the NFL can be sometimes. It's wild.
And I want to do this last one. Actually, this is the last one. Hold on. Let me figure out. Where is it? All right.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's going to be so good. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
It's going to be so good. Everyone's going to love it. I'm going to hate it, but this is going to be amazing. Let me just get it to the right time. Okay. Get the fuck out of here. All right. Let's do.
My
bad. Get the fuck out of here. We beat him week 18. All right, ready? You ready? Is no good. Fuck! Fuck! Hands on the hips and everything. Watch right here. Right here.
Fuck you, Eberflus, you fucking coward. Fuck.
That one was just a cherry on top for everybody.
Dude. Oh my God. I'm going to edit that and put like sad music in the background.
Just some like raindrop music in the background with like a sad piano.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a good one. And then I got one last one.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. That one I just threw in there because no matter what, even if it's me, that is hilarious. I don't care who you are. That is a hilarious reaction to your team losing on a blocked field goal. I don't care what fan you are. That is funny.
And all right, these are going to be shorts, so they're going to be really quick. Okay. So first, I'm going here.
Let me just do that.
Here we go.
Crafty said, Rick's got that response down to a science. That I do, Crafty. That I do.
Okay, so this was week 14. Okay, so this is pretty early in the year. Well, tonight just basically sealed the deal. The first seed in the NFC is either going to be Detroit or it's going to be the Eagles. For Detroit, they have pretty hard matchups. They have Buffalo, they got the Packers, they have to play the Bears twice, which could be stingy games. They also have to play the 49ers late in the year with their season on the line. But the Eagles, they have Baltimore next week, and then it's pretty winnable. They do have the Commanders and Steelers, but that's pretty much it. So if you're an Eagles fan, you're hoping that one of these teams beats Detroit. But if you look at the 3 seed or the 4 seed, they have like a 4-game lead on those teams. So we know that the order of 1 and 2, it's either going to be Detroit and Philly or Philly and Detroit.
Got it. Got it.
Bam.
And then I wanted to do this one. This was week 1. Week 1 of the season. Texans will win the Super Bowl. Fuck it. Let's see.
No, Tank Dell could come back and be right where we left off.
Yeah.
So now you got Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Like, it just seems like this team is ready to win a Super Bowl like this year. And I haven't even seen the draft yet, but it's just crazy. This team's going to get even better in a month. They did go to the playoffs and win a game, so
They definitely did do that.
but this was week 1. And this is the one I wanted to point out because it was week 1. And what did I not upload that one, or is that under my profile?
It might be under yours.
Shorts. Let's see. It was week 1. The Packers. Robert Saleh.
Oh,
It was Jordan Love getting injured.
I think it was more than a minute long, so I think it's an actual video. Is it not?
Oh, okay. Let me see. Videos.
Maybe. Yeah. It was a minute and 1 second long, and it's under the Only Football page. Right? Keep going up. Right. Go down. Right there.
Here it is.
Yep.
Oh my God, he pitched it back. You take a sack and the game's over. Jordan Love. Oh,
Oh, the music in the background.
Love is down.
Jordan Love is down.
Jordan Love is down and he's wincing. Jordan Love is down and he is visibly in pain. He was being held, and to try to avoid the sack, he flipped the ball back to Josh Jacobs, and the backup quarterback is warming up, and Jordan Love is still wincing in pain.
Love is down.
I thought that was the end of his season.
Yeah. So did I. I remember because my sister-in-law and one of my best friends who is dating my sister-in-law came into town. We were in Seattle watching that game somewhere we were eating. And I was like, oh my God, Jordan Love is hurt. And then that started the whole, is Malik Willis a better people are asking the question, Kyle.
People want to know the question.
Oh man, that's great. But I really think just because like I love going through all these videos and just picking these things, but I think next season, this off season, we should really get like, this is the video we're going to show on February 3rd or 4th, whatever day it is, for a Groundhogs Day video. Let's get all our takes out.
I'll edit it into like one long video.
Yeah.
Or if I have to make like 4 5-minute videos, and it will just
that would be
click
good
through them, and we can always just pause it. Well,
No, we can't. But if I upload them on YouTube, we can share screen and then pause it.
There you go. Crafty said Kyle looked like he was watching a funeral procession go.
Dude, I was just like, how
Ding.
bad does that suck that this guy's done for the year?
Oh, I
mean,
know.
I can't believe that they were like, no, he'll be ready for the Vikings game. And I'm like, what?
You're like, what? I think it was only 2-3 weeks that
Yeah.
he missed, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go.
Oh, remember that. If your quarterback goes down and it looks bleak, just remember, sometimes that's all it is. It just looks that way.
Loved it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our annual Groundhog Day video. It's gonna be a yearly event. So it's always fun and funny to look back at the takes we've had and just kind of go at each other. But Kyle, I think it's for the motherfucker. For the motherfucker.
Welcome to the Chives with Kyle. All right, so it wouldn't be Super Bowl week if I didn't give you sights and sounds from the opening night. Super Bowl week here at last, and it all starts with opening night. Players, coaches from the Philadelphia Eagles and the Chiefs arrived in New Orleans, Caesar Superdome, to partake in one of the grandest events leading up to the Super Bowl, fielding questions of all sorts about the big game and beyond. The Eagles kicked off the spectacle, greeted by New Orleans-themed mascots and a marching band. What?
Wow.
Oh my gosh, a marching
Wow.
band. I'm gonna have to show you the marching band. That's what's happening here.
A
I'm
goddamn
showing you the marching
band.
band.
A goddamn marching band.
Why wouldn't I show you the marching band? That's the real question. Of course I'm going to show you the marching band.
What I want to know is the New Orleans themed mascot. So, like, was it a bunch of just drunk chicks, or
Let me
was it-
show you the marching band. Super Bowl week, baby.
Woo!
The Philadelphia Eagles coming out, phones in hand, taking in the moment with their phone. Look how happy they are. Look at that. They're like, damn, this is cool. It would have been cooler to come out to Meek Mill, but the marching band will do. Keep going.
Keep
damn
going.
it.
Keep going.
Daddy's wearing it too.
AJ Brown.
Mhm.
So, just wanted you guys to see what's going on, all right? Out there in New Orleans, there's a ton of energy. There's things happening about opening night. The NFC champs have arrived for the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts doesn't call it the tush push. Did you know that?
What does he call it? The
He
brotherly.
calls it the QB sneak.
Oh my god.
Yes.
What a dweeb.
Saquon Barkley said, I never lost faith and just kept my head and kept working. Very interesting. I just kept my head. Now, he didn't say he kept his head down. He said he kept
Smart.
his head.
It's smart. It's smart. He just wants to make
I
sure
just kept my
everyone
head.
understands that he did keep his head, indeed.
Maybe he's like, I kept my mental right.
My
I kept my
mentals and my
head.
chickens. Yep, that's right.
Saquon couldn't be happier to be in the Super Bowl, though. Ocho Cinco retweeted, surprise Nick Sirianni, because Nick Sirianni got a kiss today. And a
Ocho
kiss.
Cinco kissed him?
Ocho Cinco kissed Ocho Cinco kissed Sirianni. Here
Used
is
tongue.
the video.
He used tongue.
Yes. Now, here is the video. No tongue was used.
Ah, boo.
Here we go.
Never could get your number though.
It was probably the most likable moment of Sirianni's entire career.
You know he was about to swing on him, though. He's like, the fuck are you? Oh, okay. It's Ocho Cinco. Okay,
Ocho
cool,
Cinco
cool.
can kiss me anytime, man. And then AJ Brown talked about his balanced diet. He said from pregame meals to his favorite cereals, Philly players ran the gamut of food-related questions at their podiums. AJ Brown didn't have to answer anything to be treated to a snack, though. I guess AJ Brown's known for his snacking and his variety of snacks. So was DK Metcalf, actually.
DK Metcalf, yep.
I don't know if you ever saw this. I think it was GQ where they did this thing. It was fun. It was called like the there was a word for it, but it was like the gotta habits. Like you don't leave the house without these 10 items. Mm-hmm. And like he would have a bunch of candy. And then they asked him this year and he was like, no, I'm getting too old. Like I can't keep eating like that.
He's
and
like
I'm like
28. You're like, shut up.
Nobody's right. Like there is that age where like,
oh yeah,
you're like, well, what's happening?
What the fuck is going on? Yeah.
I used to eat this all the time. Now my ass jiggles for a week. Eat one donut.
It won't stop till I sit down.
Jameis really gave AJ Brown a W cookie.
Nice. Ginger said he'd kiss us on the mouth if he ever saw us.
Same.
Appreciate that.
Same.
I'd kiss back.
I would too. It would be a two-way kiss for sure.
I wouldn't ask for consent.
I would squeeze an ass cheek. I think it's pretty cool that the Super Bowl lands on my birthday, Saquon Barkley says. He's hoping to celebrate more than just turning 28. But those are just some little updates from today. I wanted to keep you guys in the mentality of Super Bowl week because it is Super Bowl week, and today was opening day, and the events and the festivities are underway, and we are pumped that you guys are with us for this final stretch. And then we got a lot of off-season stuff to do, but the Super Bowl week for the Only Football Podcast begins today.
It's going to be awesome, guys. But with that being said, our Super Bowl coverage will continue probably either tomorrow, Wednesday. We'll see. Either way, we will make sure you guys stay informed. We'll make sure to have the streams up and ready for you guys to kind of hit that notify me button for when we will go live. We're going to be talking Super Bowl. Eagles versus Chiefs. Not the Broncos, unfortunately, Kyle, but it's an exciting one because we got a rematch of 2 years ago between these two teams, and that will be amazing. Make sure to stay tuned here on the Only Football Podcast for all that coverage. Other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had Ginger, we had Crafty, we had Nick, we had Richard, we had Bradley, and we had Daniel Barry, as always. Thank you guys so much. Go and follow us on X at and now Rick and at NFL with Kyle. Go follow the Only Football Podcast on X at Only Football Pod. Make sure to hit a like on this stream. Hit the subscribe button. Become a member. $2.99. X Crafty. $2.99 a month. Become a member just like Crafty, just like Ginger, just like Richard. We would really, really appreciate it. Super chats are also always welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here. We will be back soon for some more Super Bowl coverage. And Kyle, always a good time, brother.
Oh.
So